Welcome to the Laker Zone.
Welcome, Clayton State fans, to your second installment of Laker Zone. I'm your host, Jay McCaskey, here with Coach Gibbons. Coach, last week you had West Georgia here at home, got a good win. Talk about that win at home and how the crowd was, and it seems like everybody was really into it.
Yeah, Jay, it was a really good crowd. You know, it was a Thanksgiving break week, and you always wonder a little bit about how many students are going to still be, around. But well, we had a good turnout that night. They got into it, and it was a big win for us. You know, last year West Georgia won 23 games, was in the NCAA tournament. They have 3 starters back from that team. After their loss to us on last week, they had Columbus at home, which is a team in our league, and won that game by 13. So West Georgia's legitimate. We play them later, and but that was a really big win for our young team.
Right, yeah, you guys, you out rebounding them, and it seems like the league kind of grew in the first half and halfway through the second half, and then they started to make a little run. What did they do to kind of change things up to cut into that lead?
Well, I think, sometimes there is a such thing of too big a lead too early. And we were up 19 with about 18 minutes to go. And big lead, a lot of time to play. And I'm sure what their coaching staff talked to them about was, cutting it inside of 10 by the 10-minute mark and so forth. So they gradually chipped away. I don't know that we let up, but they made some big shots, and and got back into that game and made it interesting in the final 4 minutes.
Okay. You went on to face Wingate, and we didn't come out successful in that Wingate game. Did Wingate do anything special to kind of slow us down in that game?
Well, here's what Wingate is. Wingate's an experienced team that returned their top 8 scorers, or 8 of their top scorers from last year's NCAA team, and they at home were tough. They had a big win over Pembroke in our league earlier in the week, and they were ready for us. A year ago on Thanksgiving weekend, Wingate was here, and we won that basketball game. And they had 8 players that remembered losing over here, and they were ready to go. I just think they punched us a little bit early and got us down, and we had to play catch up. And I thought, once we got up off the floor from that initial punch, we played pretty well throughout the game. We just could not overtake them.
Yeah, because the score is not indicative of how we played. I mean, we really turned them over 12 times. We out-rebounded them. Well, actually, they got the out-rebounded us by 2 rebounds. So it seems like our effort and everything was there, but we just couldn't knock down shots early.
Yeah, it was a situation where we would make a nice run back. We cut it to 3 with 9 minutes to go on the clock, and then it seemed like a break or 2, and we were back down 11. It was one of those games we just couldn't seem to get over the hump. But bottom line from that game was I was able to do quite a bit of work in film session with the team and let them know that when you play good basketball teams like we're going to play the remainder of our schedule, you got to come to play. And I thought they outplayed us early in that game.
Last night, had a Carver College team in, and the effort just seemed to be outstanding. The guys came in and they got after it. The first 3-4 minutes, it seemed like we moved kind of slow, but we picked it up quick and extended a good lead. You got Zach Riddle back last night, and he really had a phenomenal game. Talk about his impact. And
that was a big help. We've been playing the year without a point guard, and that's just what happens sometimes with injuries. But having Zach back from a broken hand and was really helped our team. It helped our rotation. We could move guys around through substitution patterns a little bit differently than we had been doing. And I just thought Zach did a real nice job of settling us down and running the team, and that's a nice thing, a nice aspect to have back in our game.
Your bigs, Tim Budd and Omari Murray, excellent job on the boards and defending last night. Talk about Omari's all-around game and just his impact and how he helps create open shots for the rest of the guys.
Well, Omari was very active last night, as was Tim, and that's something that we talked about coming out of the Whaley game, was everybody being a lot more active, making plays on the defensive end, really getting on both offensive and defensive boards. I thought O did that. But, what Omari is he can do a lot of things. He can play a lot of positions. He can score from different places on the floor, but he's an outstanding passer. And teams have to be concerned with him driving the ball to the basket. And he has no problem with when he's double teamed and so forth to give the ball up. And I think that really helps the flow of our offense.
I like the guys' energy last night. They didn't let up all night. They just kept pressing and kept making sure that they kept the tempo upbeat and keep the ball moving. And I thought we did a great job with ball movement last night.
Yeah, we really have. And this team is very unselfish. And this team has worked really hard on offense and getting used to playing with their teammates. And, when you have 6 guys coming back and 6 new players, it's the makeup of your team, you need your first 5, 6, 7 games to where everybody really gets comfortable. They're comfortable in practice, but then you've got to take what you're doing in practice onto the floor against another opponent. Carver last night was a good exercise for us because they deny everything and really play passing lanes and do a lot of switching, which is not the basis of our defense. So we were playing against something that was a little bit different. I thought we handled it pretty well.
Now you have a Clark Atlanta team coming in on Saturday. Tip-off is at 7:30 for that game. They're 0-4. They're hungry to try to get a win. They just lost against Georgia College and State last night, 8 points. They have 2 outstanding guards, one Jamil Fluker and a forward, Dwayne Bingham, 6'6" and 6'2". How do we defend those guys, or does the game plan change, with those guys?
I don't think so. This time of the year, what you're doing is you're establishing your base defense, and your tactics designed to stop 1 player or 2 player is probably not what you're doing at this time. You're playing your base defense, and you're getting your guys used to, their responsibilities defensively. Now, obviously, we'll be ready for Clark Atlanta's different players. Our guys and myself have not looked at a lot of film of them yet. That process will start tonight and tomorrow. But Clark is a good program. They've had success in recent years. Been in the NCAA tournament. They played 3 out of 4 games on the road. 3 out of 4 games on the road. That's tough to start a year. So they've learned from those games, and their one home game was against a good Georgia College team, and it was an overtime loss. So they'll be ready when they come in here on Saturday night.
Yeah, because they used to have Coach Daryl Jacobs. Now they switched to Dale Brown. His style's a little different. He wants to get up tempo. Ball's coming out the rim. He wants to push it up, get quicker shots. He wants to take volume shots. Does the press help slow them down a lot more?
Well, you can use the press to do that, okay? And what the way the press does that is when they get it across half court, now they've got to set back up again. So if the press is effective, it can slow them down a bit, and we will definitely be trying to implement the best defensive way to go against Clark Atlanta.
And Coach, you have West Georgia coming up next week after the Clark Atlanta game, and then a Weber International team. Focusing in on West Georgia, the second time around, what do you do different, or do you even change your game plan? Because I know they're going to make their adjustments. So is it anything that, any adjustments that you feel you have to make in order to change their game?
Well, sure. I think anytime you play another team, and you talked about, one game at a time. That's obvious the way our staff prepares. But, after Clark Atlanta, we have exams, and the exam period runs a full week. So you have a full week, and you don't practice every day during exams, but you're going to practice most of those days. So we'll have plenty of time to work on game plan for our teams that we play after the exam. But what we do have after exams is 4 games in a week, this period of time. So that's really going to be a lot of preparation work on both the players and the coaching staff, but also that's a lot of basketball in a week's period of time before we break for Christmas. So right now our focus is Clark Atlanta, and then we'll start preparing for West Georgia. But West Georgia, the one thing you'll know is when you beat a team in an early season game, they are going to make changes as the early part of the season continues to flow. So, and we will make some adjustments based on things that West Georgia was successful against us.
Okay, Coach. Make sure you're here at Clayton State for the Saturday game against Clark Atlanta University at 7:30, but also get here a little early, 3:30. We start the Lock Shop Classic here at Clayton State University. I've been your host, Jay McCaskey, for Laker Zone.